The film begins on a tense night deep in the woods, where two men remain hidden in the darkness. One of them hears unsettling noises and, wielding a machete, cautiously approaches the source of the disturbance. Before he can react, they are ambushed by invisible creatures. Amidst the chaos, a young man identified as number 3 desperately tries to escape. However, his efforts are futile. The Mogadorian commander catches him, snatches his necklace, and executes him without hesitation. As his body disintegrates into dust, the commander adds the necklace to a collection already hanging around his neck, evidence that this is not the first victim. Meanwhile, miles away, John Smith, also known as number 4, enjoys a carefree day in the ocean with friends. As the sun sets, he goes for a swim with a girl, but the moment of tranquility is shattered when his leg suddenly begins to glow. A searing pain pierces through him, forcing him to scream, and amidst his agony, a vision appears. Number 3 sending him a warning of imminent danger. Onlookers witness John's strange behavior, recording him with their phones and mocking him. He loses consciousness, only to wake up later on the beach, where Henry, his guardian, arrives at his side. John and number 3 belong to a group of extraordinary young people, each with unique abilities, protected by designated guardians tasked with keeping them safe. Henry immediately notices the fresh scar on John's leg and realizes the worst. Number 3 is dead. With no time to waste, he hastily gathers their belongings, erasing every trace of John's past, including photographs with his friends. Without looking back, they abandon their coastal hideout, knowing that danger is closer than ever. During their journey, John recounts the truth of his existence. He and 8 other gifted children fled the planet Lorien, following an invasion by the ruthless Mogadorians, bald, menacing beings who are now hunting them on Earth. The Mogs must eliminate them in numerical order, and the scars on John's leg confirm that numbers 1, 2, and 3 have already fallen. Now, as the 4th in line, he is their next target. To protect him, Henry assigns him a new identity and warns him that staying hidden is his only option. Their destination is a quiet town called Paradise, Ohio. Upon settling into an old house, John notices a Bernie Kosar football poster hanging on the wall. Unbeknownst to him, a small lizard has been stealthily following them, slipping into the house unnoticed. Henry, aware of the growing threat, works to erase John's digital footprint, ensuring the Mogadorians cannot track him. Suddenly, a noise outside startles them both. When they investigate, the lizard transforms into a dog. Despite Henry's initial hesitation, John insists on keeping the animal, naming him Bernie Kosar, after the football player. Later that night, Henry secretly hides a mysterious box inside an old grandfather clock. Left by John's father before he died, the box contains answers, but John is not yet ready to receive them. Meanwhile, elsewhere, number 6 arrives at her abandoned bungalow, and, finding it empty, makes a bold decision by setting the place on fire. As flames engulf the structure, an explosion occurs, but she emerges unscathed, revealing her apparent immunity to fire. The next morning, John, despite Henry's warnings, insists on attending school. He promises to keep a low profile, leading Henri to reluctantly hand him a phone before letting him go. However, upon arriving at school, John realizes that Bernie Kosar has followed him. While waiting for his class schedule, he notices a girl, Sarah, in the principal's office. She has been caught secretly photographing a teacher, and something about her immediately draws him in. The administrative staff tasks Sarah with guiding John to his locker. As she leads him through the hallways, Henry calls to check in, but John ignores the call. Shortly after, a group of students approaches. Mark, the school's arrogant athlete, introduces himself with a smug attitude. As Mark walks away, John sees him shoving a smaller boy, knocking his skateboard to the ground. Without hesitation, John retrieves it and returns it to the boy, Sam, forging an instant connection. Later, after school, John sees Sam being bullied again by Mark and his friends. Anger surges within him, and he grabs a football, throwing it with supernatural force at one of Mark's henchmen, sending him to the ground. Meanwhile, John catches Sarah discreetly taking photos of him from a distance. That night, he stumbles upon her website, where she curates a collection of her photographs, including an entire album dedicated to him. Henry, always cautious, quickly deletes every photo of John to avoid any unwanted attention. Meanwhile, the Mogadorians deduce that number 4 is still alive after investigating the charred remains of the bungalow and are now actively hunting him. The next day in class, John's hands suddenly emit a blinding blue-white glow, a phenomenon known as lumen that signals the emergence of his powers. At that same moment, Henry feels a disturbance as the glow reflects off his watch. Panicked, John escapes to a janitor's closet, desperately trying to suppress the light. Henry arrives just in time, calming him down and explaining that his abilities are beginning to awaken. Upon returning home, Henry warns him that these powers will make him stronger and faster, but until he learns to control them, he cannot risk going back to school. Restless, John later tests his new abilities, showing them to Bernie Kosar before sneaking out of the house through the window. Alone in the open night, John experiments further, throwing a rock with such force that it seems to disappear into the sky and jumping great distances with unnatural grace. Meanwhile, the Mogadorian commander lurks in a grocery store, clearing shelves of food only to throw the products to monstrous invisible creatures lurking in the shadows. Back in town, John unexpectedly runs into Sarah, and they take a walk together. As they walk, they notice Sam across the street, tense and uncomfortable next to his stepfather. Changing the subject, Sarah invites John to dinner, introducing him to her family. During the meal, her parents share details about Sarah's passion for photography and encourage them to visit the town's night carnival. After dinner, they go up to Sarah's room, where John notices a scrapbook of her personal work. Flipping through it, he realizes she prefers capturing moments rather than being in front of the camera. Their quiet moment is interrupted when Bernie Kosar unexpectedly appears outside, barking insistently. Realizing he has to leave, John heads out, unaware that Mark is watching him from a distance with an expression darkened by jealousy. The next day, Sam corners John, demanding an explanation for what happened to his hands in class. But John dodges the question. While they talk, Mark's latest prank unfolds. Bright pink paint explodes from their lockers, splattering everything, including a cherished photo of Sam with his biological father. Furious, Sam loses his temper and lunges at Mark. As tensions at school rise, John's palms begin to glow again. But this time, he maintains his composure and quickly retreats from the situation. In the bathroom, Sam opens up about his missing father, a man obsessed with extraterrestrials. He firmly believes his father was abducted by aliens, a claim John listens to with growing intrigue. Later, John sees Sarah in the hallway but deliberately keeps his distance to avoid drawing further attention. Meanwhile, Henry delves into the past of Sam's father and follows his investigation to an abandoned factory. There, he discovers strange symbols carved into a pillar and stumbles upon a glowing rock known as a locator. Sensing its importance, he takes it home to analyze it further. That night, John receives an invitation from Sarah to attend the Spring Scream Festival. At the festival, Sarah opens up about her past with Mark, revealing they used to date before their breakup turned sour. After the split, Mark exposed her secrets out of spite. Their conversation takes a back seat when they embark on a haunted hayride through the woods. However, the night takes a dark turn when Mark and his friends ambush them. While John is attacked, Sarah is forcibly taken. Sam, watching from the shadows, sees John forced to use his abilities. He fights back, overpowering Mark and nearly breaking his arm before rescuing Sarah. Later that night, he walks her home, and they share their first kiss. Upon leaving, John accidentally breaks a light pole with his palm, realizing his strength has increased drastically. Determined to be honest, John visits Sam and reveals the truth, confirming that aliens exist and that Sam's father wasn't crazy. He warns Sam to keep the secret, as knowing too much could put him in danger. But Sam, fascinated rather than frightened, vows to stay silent. The next morning, John's troubles intensify when the local sheriff, who happens to be Mark's father, shows up at his door. He accuses John of attacking his son, but John deflects, treating it as a misunderstanding. Henry watches with silent approval, recognizing that John is maturing in his abilities. Things take a turn for the worse when a viral video resurfaces, footage of John screaming in pain in the ocean, catching unwanted attention. Henry, unable to delete it, insists they leave immediately. However, John refuses, unwilling to abandon Sarah. This defiance leads to a heated argument that escalates into a physical confrontation. Before they can resolve their dispute, Henry is kidnapped. Realizing the stakes, John teams up with Sam, and together they track his location. Arriving at a secluded house, John instructs Sam to follow one of the men while he sneaks inside. What he finds is unsettling. Walls covered in newspaper clippings about missing people. He eventually locates Henry, bound and restrained. The kidnappers turn out to be conspiracy theorists working under the orders of the Mogadorians. Before John can react, a Mog bursts into the room, launching a brutal attack. John and Sam fight their way out, while Henry faces off against the alien. Amidst the chaos, Sam loses the car keys, forcing John to use his powers to jumpstart the engine. As they attempt to escape, the Mog reappears, mortally wounding Henry with a stab to the chest. As they drive away, a weakened and dying Henry hands John his special knife and the tracker. With his final breaths, he reveals that Sam's father was using the locator to find other surviving Lorian children. He urges John to find his own kind, insisting that their combined abilities are the only way to defeat the Mogadorians. Moments later, Henry succumbs to his wounds, leaving John and Sam to continue the fight alone. Failing to capture John, the Mogadorians arrive at the conspiracy theorists' hideout and, as punishment for their failure, execute them using a ruthless death device before continuing their pursuit of number 4. Meanwhile, back in town, local authorities raid John's house, labeling him a dangerous fugitive. The situation complicates further when Sarah begins to suspect John has been hiding something from her and confronts him directly. As they drive through town, Sam reveals an unexpected secret. His father had found another piece of the glowing rock while searching for extraterrestrial life in Mexico. Realizing its importance, they decide to retrieve it. Bernie Kosar, ever the mysterious companion, leads Sam to its hiding place. Meanwhile, John makes a stop at Sarah's house, determined to clear the air and say goodbye. However, their farewell is interrupted when the police arrive, surrounding the house and forcing John and Sarah onto the roof. When Sarah loses her footing, she falls toward the ground, but John instinctively uses his telekinetic abilities to save her just in time. Moments later, he further demonstrates his powers by lifting an entire patrol car, stunning the officers. With no other choice, John and Sarah make a daring escape, heading toward the school for refuge. Meanwhile, the Mogadorians arrive in town in a convoy of armored trucks, immediately confronting Mark and his father. The Mog commander, radiating menace, demands that Mark lead them directly to John. At the school, Sam warns his friend that the Mogs have the entire perimeter surrounded. Just when all seems lost, a new ally arrives, number 6, also known as Jane. Armed with her unique weapons and lightning-fast reflexes, she joins the fray. Battle erupts with Jane quickly taking out 2 Mog soldiers. In response, the aliens release their flying lizards, monstrous creatures that immediately descend upon the school. As chaos breaks out, Bernie Kosar undergoes a shocking transformation. The sudden change startles Sam, but there is no time to hesitate. The battle is in full swing, and Bernie Kosar proves to be a powerful ally, tearing through enemy ranks and taking on the flying lizard. After an intense struggle, he successfully defeats the creature, but is left severely wounded, eventually returning to his familiar canine form. In the meantime, Jane finds herself in trouble and desperately needs help. She asks John to recharge her with his lumen energy, and together they repel the invading Mogs. Racing to the football field, John, Jane, and Sam face the Mogadorian commander and another monstrous beast. The battle reaches its climax as the trio fights in perfect sync, taking down guards and nearly defeating the commander. However, Jane is suddenly captured by the monstrous creature. John rushes to her aid, using his abilities to turn the tide of combat. In a final explosive moment, John unleashes his full power, annihilating the commander in a massive detonation. Thanks to Jane's fireproof abilities, they both survive the blast. The next morning, John and his allies successfully connect the blue stones of the locator, revealing the locations of the remaining Lorian survivors. In an unexpected twist, Mark reappears, no longer an enemy, and hands John Henry's mysterious box, the final piece of the puzzle. With his mission now clear, Sam makes a choice. He will join the fight, Before leaving, John shares one last kiss with Sarah, knowing he may never return. As the team prepares to depart, a battered but determined Bernie Kosar limps into view, proving once again that he is no ordinary companion. With danger still lurking, John, Jane, Sam, and Bernie vanish into the horizon, embarking on their next journey to find the others and take the fight back to the Mogadorians.